Happy Tuesday. Thank you so much for joining. What a pleasure to be here today with all of you. Now, while we're giving everyone a chance to dial in, if you wouldn't mind just type in there on the chat where you dialing from. We always love seeing, where people are dialing from, right? And if you can turn on your cameras, Arden, North Carolina, California. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I said also put in the chat thread how many Ayurveda events you've been to today. I saw Sunita earlier. I saw Sarah earlier.
Hudson, New York,
Raleigh, North
Florida.
Carolina.
Nice.
Sarah, this is number 2 for you. Yep, I've got my eye on Sarah.
Beautiful. Thank you so much for joining. Few people from Florida. That's great. And here also from the Carolinas. Ireland. Wow. Thank you. Amazing. All right. So we have a very special guest here with us today. You, I'm sure, have seen him before, have been on some of his workshops and lives. He is the leader when it comes to all the creativity and all the ideas that we have here for our company, not only for SoHum Mountain Healing Resort, but also for Ayurveda. And, without any further ado, here's Mitesh. He's going to be talking to us about vitality and aging. So get ready for that, Mitesh, if you want to just introduce yourself for those that don't know you.
Sure. My name is Mitesh, and I am a friend of Sandy's, first and foremost. We both work together at Ayurveda, and we have a healing center called SoHum, and we have an Ayurvedic school called the Ayurvedic Institute. And, we actually create containers for people to learn about themselves, to learn about Ayurveda, and so also to create processes for people to have really deep healing, mind, body, and spirit. So, and my specific role is I'm a teacher for our online products and in our school, and I also am a lead practitioner at SoHum, the healing resort, where we take people through 7-day immersive experiences. It actually starts the week before you come. So you check it on Sunday and you check out on Sunday, and your life absolutely changes, okay? And it's not us, it's not me, it's not Dr. Ladd, it is actually the science. It's this meticulous science of creating spontaneous healing, spontaneous evolution within all of your systems that is thousands of years old, that we take you through for 7 days, okay? And then the week before you come, we acclimatize your body to a healing container. And then the week after you leave, we teach your body of how to maintain that healing moving forward. So it's an absolute beautiful thing that I get to take a part of. And that's a little bit of what I do.
Amazing. So now with that introduction, if you're here is because you're following us at SoHum and you're getting our emails and you're interested in learning about longevity and interested about aging gracefully, right? And when it comes to aging, actually, this is a topic that I want us to go back a little bit and talk about the meaning of aging. So if you wouldn't mind, I'm really curious to know, just type on the chat, like, what does aging mean to you? Because it could be a little bit different for everyone. So put it there on the chat, what it means to you, or maybe how you're feeling as you're aging, because we're going to be going in depth into the meaning, the differences, what you feel in your mind, your body, and your soul. So I don't know if anyone is typing, Chris, maybe wisdom and lightness of being. Thank you, Cheryl. Love that one. Let's see, anything else? What are you feeling? Tapping into the gold within our heart. Oh, I'm loving it already. Thank you, Mary. Let's see, what else? What else are you feeling, or whatever do you think it is? How about you? What do you think aging is? What does it mean to you?
Well, I'll tell you what it means to my job. So what I tell my clients is, I always tell them, hey, it's my job to make sure that you live to 100. Does that make sense? And not only just get to 100, but really live, to have joy, to have bliss, to have movement, to have digestion, to have deep sleep. And then all of these things, like generally when it comes to Ayurveda, you have to ask yourself, a long life to what end? A quality of life to what end? And really it comes down to spiritually feeling connected. I spiritually feel connected to nature, to my loved ones, to my community, and I have this sense of joy, this sense of bliss. So Ayurveda is not only living to 100, it actually means to live to 100 at a certain vibration, And so the other part of it is, when it comes to aging, in the old Eastern texts, they usually categorize the life into 4 stages, okay? And the first stage is called brahmachari, right? And that means that I am kind of like when you're born and you're growing and you're looking at the world with awe, like you're like welcome to earth, okay? And I have trees and I have plants and I have knowledge and understanding, education, and I'm really coming into my being as a human being. That happens in the first stage. So if you're gonna live 100 years, that'd be your first 25 years, okay? The next 25 years would be what we call grahastha, right? Don't worry about the Sanskrit, it's not important. But grahastha means that I create value. I create abundance in my community. I get married, I have children, I take care of my neighborhood, my community. I use my energy to create. Does that make sense? I use my energy to take care of, right? And so that will kind of be like, these are the phases. Like you're talking about aging, you go from one phase to the next, to the next, to the next. The third phase is what we call grahastha, right? So this is the third quarter of our life. And that has to do with whatever wisdom that we've acquired to give back fully. So the next generation and the generation after that and the generation after that is whole. And then they feel complete and they feel like the generation before me cared for me. Like you want to feel my grandpa did this, my grandma did this so that these medicines, well, I have the knowledge of these medicines on my shelves. I have the understanding of how to live a prosperous life and a good life, et cetera, et cetera. So the wisdom, the gray hair starts coming in, mine's coming in. I think I'm in that stage of my life to give back, right? And so you start giving back. And then the last stage of life is to honor the moment of death, to die dancing, to die joyfully, to die courageously, to die with a sense of peace, aspiration. So then that, they call it a sanskara. So how, if you've seen, a lot of people say that when you die, your whole life flashes between right in front of your eyes. Well, as your life is flashing between your eyes, are you looking back at that moment with like love, with awareness, with joy? And that creates our next existence, whatever you see that as, whether you see that as going to heaven or being reincarnated or whatever the case may be, that would be the pinnacle of the last quarter of life, is to master that moment and to have that moment come. The moment of death should be a moment of grace, a moment of light, a moment of love, a moment of joy, and you should leave this world dancing, right? And so this is where all the 4 stages are. So ultimately, aging is us navigating through all these stages appropriately. Does that make sense? With the right mindset, the right body, the right vigor, the right infrastructure. So maybe you know that whenever you ask me a question, it's never short, Sandy.
I love it. I love it.
That would be my opinion.
And it shouldn't be. So the key takeaway that I get from that is, yes, there is defined stages that we go through life. However, each of us, even from an Ayurvedic perspective, maybe experience it slightly differently, right? So the idea is for us to find that vitality, regardless of the stage in the life that we're in, right? As we're going through it and as we're learning and we are adapting and transitioning, because those are big transitions in life, how can we be the best version of ourselves? And I saw one of the posts just now that said, I'm 70 something and I really want to be the best version of myself, spiritually, physically, mentally. So how do we achieve that? How do we get to that point, regardless of the stage that we're in? Being able to feel the best that we can physically, being able to connect to ourselves so that we can become that best version. And also mentally, do we have the clarity of mind Do we have the ability to think clearly? Do we have the ability to feel our fullness and feel that we're the best, not only with ourselves, but also with the world around us? So being aware of these 4 stages is important because inevitably we will be going through them. We are going through them. The key question to ask yourself is, am I going through these stages gracefully? Am I embodying the best that I can be? Am I feeling the best that I can feel? And when you ask yourself those questions, if the answers, they may not be yes on all of them. But if you have a few no's here and there, like maybe physically I'm not feeling my best, then begin to ask from an Ayurvedic lens, what are the things that I can do to feel better? What are the things that I can do to have more clarity? What are the things that I can do to feel more fulfilled and joyful as I'm aging, right? That is the secret of life. Finding those moments every step of the way, not only in one of the stages. Because inevitably, there is aging. Now, there is the other belief that, oh, when we age, is a decay, or is a decrease in youthfulness, but we see a lot of people also that are very young, and they may not feel at their best. They may not have the vitality that they're supposed to be or have at 20 or at 15. So again, it's not putting things into a box. It's more so doing a self-analysis. How do I feel? Where am I in that process? And where are the areas that I can improve? And where are the tools that I can tap into? Whether it's a cleanse, whether it's a full detox, Panchakarma, whether it's learning more practices, meditation, yoga, right? Like, let's not put ourselves into a box. Would you agree with that?
100%.
Yeah. Okay, so we talked about those 4 stages. Now, for the majority of us, when we're getting to, I would say, our late 40s, starting on our 50s and beyond, this is really when we begin to feel it in our bodies. So let's talk about some of those experiences that we may be feeling very strong as we're getting through that aging process, right? I would say, me personally, for example, maybe I'm feeling that I need to slow down a little bit more. Is that normal? Is that good?
Well, I think you're probably one of the only people that wants to slow down after age 40, because most of my clients, I usually have to talk to them saying, well, because usually when you turn 40, people are still trying to act like when they were 25. Does that make sense? And so there is a graceful acceptance. It's gorgeous to be 40. It's gorgeous to be 50. It's gorgeous to be 60, right?
Right.
But when you're 60, you can't do the exact same things that when you were 25, right? And so I think it's really beautiful that you actually have accepted that. I think with a lot of my clients, sometimes you could say, look, you could be an incredible 43, but you have the mileage. Does that make sense? You have that. Now, do you have to live with joint pain? No. Can you balance your hormones and be happy? Yes. If a man, usually one thing I see, men, when they turn 40, the lower 40s, they start getting brain fog. They start having lower testosterone. So I think that there are obviously things that you could do that make you feel the best you that you possibly can be. But there is a joy of honoring the stage of life that you're in and living it with grace and living it engaged and accepting that. Does that make sense? And
Absolutely.
because we can't be in denial. We're all gonna die. Okay, everyone here is gonna die. I hate to break it to you, unless they really start doing stuff with these little chips and stuff they're putting in your body. But most up to this far in history, everyone does die. Everyone does age. But how can we do it gracefully? How can we do it with joy? And how can we do it the best that we can?
And that's the secret,
Yeah.
I think. So when I said I feel like maybe slowing down a little bit, is that recognition. And also are you in tune with yourself? Are you in tune with your body? Are you in tune with your soul? Enough to recognize also those callings, right? Because if I continue going, like I was on my Pitta season and go, 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 go all the time, it will likely ended up in a burned out. Instead, just really paying attention to, what does my body need? What is my body telling me? So, for example, saying in talking about slowing down a little bit is one, but there may be other ways on how your body's talking to you, right? Maybe you're feeling a little bit of that pain on the joints that you didn't have before, or maybe you notice that your vision is now a little bit less than it used to be. We talked about hormones. Hormones that lower testosterone in men, also women. We're going through a lot of changes. Tomorrow, we're going to be talking about menopause and how do we approach menopause, tapping into that wisdom, right? So, how can we take a look at all these little symptoms, signs, callings, and really connecting to it so that way we can honor our experience? This is honoring our human, beautiful, deep, inside human experience that is part of our evolution. And as we go through that evolution, learning what we need and also what we don't, letting go of what no longer serves us. I saw one of the posts on the chat, someone that said, you know, I'm finally getting to be me. How beautiful is that, right? It's like you go through your life most of the time trying to please others, trying to be someone else, trying to look at who you're admiring and mimicking that. But truly tapping into your powerful genius, who you were meant to be all along, there is something really beautiful about the wisdom of aging that you get to that point where you realize, you know, I am who I am. And more than anyone else accepting you, you're accepting yourself. How empowering that is, right? So if you can, before we move on to the next topic here, if you can type in here, you know, what are some of those symptoms, some of those signs that you are feeling that either you want us to address, to talk through, to give you some tips and tricks from an Ayurvedic perspective, anything that you're feeling in this evolution of life. You can type it in there. And Chris, I don't know if we need to scroll or if that's the latest. Okay, maybe scrolling down. Oh, that's okay. Thank you. Okay, at 75, I'm very active, but we move down. There you go. But I would like to be the best that I can be, spiritually and physically. Okay, that's Maria. Maria, if you wouldn't mind unmuting yourself and just tell us, what does that mean for you? And we unmuted you. Yes, we can.
Okay. All right. I'm sorry. What it means to me physically, I listening to you saying all the things that I really have to accept where I am at 75. You know, like I still try to do all the things that I used to do, and I really can still do them, but not as well. But I still fool myself into that I can do it all. I can do a Kundalini every day. I can do yoga. I can walk. I can run. I can do weights. I'm just super active. I want to learn how to really slow down a little bit more in still being productive and still being healthy. And spiritual, it's very important to me. The way that my heart feels, you know, that's very, I meditate every day. So I want to be able to continue that in a healthy way without being crazy, which
Beautiful. Thank you for sharing that. Do you have something that you want to?
First of all, she looks incredible.
Yes.
Like you're like an inspiration, you know. So I think you put the work in, and then so congratulations for a life well lived. You know that you're still so active. You can run. You can do all these particular things. So congratulations. I think everyone should aspire to that. That being said, you know, another way to look at aging is the first stage of life when we're young, when we're between being a youth and being a baby, is the kapha stage. And then pitta is kind of like midlife, you know, and then vata stage is the last stage of life, right? The beautiful thing about the vata, out of the three doshas, you know, vata, pitta, and kapha, vata is the one that is easiest for us to access the subtle dimensions, the dimensions that are not obvious. And really, we needed to gain a little bit of wisdom. We need to have some life experience to get to this Vata stage. Now, what's great about you is you've lived a life in a certain manner where you're still active, you're still mobile, you can do all these particular things. So you'll be able to access these subtle realms much better in the Vata stage of life than you could have in earlier stages. Does that make sense? So this is kind of like the fruit of your wisdom now. And then it's so simple. Most of the time, so many people can access the spiritual dimension in different ways, to being in nature, to swimming in the ocean, to doing breath work, to listening to music or having a sound vibration, to going on a silent retreat. There's so many ways, and everyone's going to have different access points. But if you kind of look at the through line, like what in music gives you peace, that gives you peace when you're swimming, that gives you peace when you're walking, that gives you peace when you're meditating, that through line is the divine. That through line is a spiritual awareness. Does that make sense? And so you're at the right, because sometimes everyone thinks, man, if I just meditate for 20 minutes today, I'm going to see the divine. Or if I just do this, no. I think it's more so, how can you slip into these stages doing multiple different things at all times? Like when you're cooking, how can you slip into that stage? When you're meditating, how can you slip into that stage? Does that make sense? So I'm really excited for you. Obviously, your journey is going to be unique for you, but you've done the right work to really take advantage of this portion of your life. So congratulations, and whatever touches your heart will work for you.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. And a few things to add here, Maria, for you too, is also looking at those things that add joy to your life, because most of our life, it's also a lot of commitments, right? A lot of responsibilities, a lot of commitments, whether it is parenthood or work or even marriage, whatever that may be. And oftentimes we forget about those moments of joy. So now that we are into this stage, it's really looking at finding that joy, whether it is a rainy day and watching the rain fall, or it is a flower that you're running into. Mitesh was talking about connecting with nature and really finding that true joy that is fulfilling and at the same way is reciprocal. You're not only getting it, but you're giving it back to Mother Earth. So look for those things that bring that joy within you, and that will continue to inspire you. You look incredibly healthy, you look amazing. So things that will go beyond that, things that will create that beauty within, will be my recommendation. So
Thank you.
yeah. Thank you so much for sharing that. Then we have Kavita here, low energy, anxiety, depression as a caregiver for children and parents. And again, going back to talking about those responsibilities. Let's see if we can see you, Kavita, and we can talk about that. Because I also want to be realistic about the things that we experience throughout this journey called life, right? We do have difficult moments in life. It's not only, flowers, peaches, rainbows all the time. So how do we become humble enough to also go through those moments that are difficult in our life with gracefulness? So what recommendations do you have for Kavita, considering that she's experiencing low energy, anxiety, depression, and she's a caregiver, meaning she's giving it all to everyone that she has around her?
So one of the things is that, we burn, all of us at some point in our lives burn our candle at both ends. Does that make sense? We have to be a mom, we have to get here and do this. Some people may be working. And so life kind of just takes its toll. So you have the stresses that are associated with that. And then what happens is that we all have a certain amount of burnout. Like our adrenals are not functioning. And adrenals, like when we don't take time in our 10s or 20s or 30s or 40s, to put ourselves back together, then the toll adds up. Does that make sense? And when that toll adds up, it leads to things like, poor adrenal function, cortisol imbalance, hormonal imbalance, poor metabolism. And it's not, it happens to all of us. It happens to all of us at some point in our life. And so the simple thing to do is find ways to put ourselves back together. Okay. And some simple tips to put ourselves back together is focus on sleep. Okay. One, be in bed and asleep and knocked out by 10 p.m. That is one thing that I've noticed that really helps people with burnout, with cortisol imbalance, and even like female hormonal imbalances. I can't tell you how many, if you focus on sleep and you focus on stress, and you focus on cortisol, how much of that really helps people hormonally or with their energy or whatever the case may be. And the second thing is Agni. From an Ayurvedic perspective, and all these things are related, sadness, anxiety, low energy, they're related to these things like sleep, like having a powerful metabolism, having a powerful Agni in your system. And it's really simple to do that. You only eat the foods that are pranic. So foods that actually look alive, that are vibrant, that are healthy, right? You don't snack in between meals. Okay? You skip dinner every now and then just to reset your hunger, right? And so there's really, really simple things. Living in the ebbs and flows of sunrise and sunset, waking up with the sun, eating your highest nutrition meal when the sun is highest, and going to sleep at an appropriate hour. A lot of these things, it seems like no way, it can't be that simple. You know, you can't, what he's talking about, it can't be that corrective in my body. But those are just some things, you know, without getting into like specific details of someone's like health history, but live in the ebb and flow of sunrise and sunset. You know, sleep at an appropriate time. Don't snack between meals. Have your largest meal at the afternoon time. And have some way of honoring the sunrise. You know, be out there in the morning when the sun is coming up and see if it gives you a sense of peace. So that would be some tips.
Amazing. And Kavita, what do you think? Tell us a little bit more about how you're feeling, how this transition is going for you, and what do you think about these tips and how you can apply them?
Yeah,
So
no,
that way
thank
we
you.
all can learn from you too.
That's very helpful. You know, totally agree that it is burnout related. I think the awareness is there, the behavior change and consistency is the part that is challenging with, you know, people's needs changing without my being able to control, you know, that situation. So I think it's more the consistency of being able to do those things.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, I've had I've had moms tell, you know, I most of my clients are moms actually. So like, you know, I have quite a few clients that are moms. And what I've realized is that if somehow if you can carve out even 3 to 5 minutes of your day, it doesn't need to be like a long time. Does that make sense? If you can carve out something for 3 to 5 minutes and do something that is twofold, something sacred and something that fills your cup. And sometimes filling your cup, maybe reading a couple of paragraphs out of a book. It may be just sitting quietly and just observing your breath. It may be playing a little bit of music. It could be art, you know, sketching something, but it's your sacred time. Does that make sense? And the best time that's most sacred a lot of times is some point in the morning, like right after you wake up. Does that make sense? Because most of our families acknowledge the fact that we have to use a restroom, we have to brush our teeth, we have to shower, right? And so somehow you just wedge it in that time right before everything starts, you know, domino affecting us. So, you know, you deserve, all of us, it's not just you, we all deserve something that cares for me. Like Mitesh, I deserve something that cares for me. And a lot of times I work really hard and there are a lot of projects that we're working on right now. Sometimes I lose the fact that, hey, maybe I'm taking care of this person or this business or this family member. But you know what, man, I need love too. And I need to show my own self-love. So 5 minutes, I would say don't worry about anything more than 5 minute time span. If you start with the 5 minutes, and 100% of my clients, when they commit to 5 minutes, and I usually have a follow-up with them 30 days later. So this is my tips. If we would have had a consultation, we would have designed a 5 minute ritual for you in the morning, okay? 100% of my clients, when they come back, I ask them, hey, Kavita, how was your 5 minute ritual this last month that we designed? Like, Mitesh, it started with 5 minutes, but really, I usually end up spending 15 minutes, 20 minutes. I created a deep care routine. So sometimes pick something so easy, like a 3 or 5 minute ritual, and that will get you going. And where you'll end up is spending a lot more time in your self-care.
Yeah, yeah. And remember, self-care is not selfish by any means. Taking care of yourself, it will allow you to be there for others. You're saying you're a caregiver. I personally know that by my own personal experience being through it. And again, if you're feeling that low energy, just even sharing and being vocal with your family members and your loved ones, like, I need 5 minutes of sleep. That 5 minutes of sleep can go a long way for you to be able to give hours of love and care to your loved ones just by taking that time for yourself. The same with the depression, just allowing yourself to feel, allow yourself to just get into, if I am sad, feel that sadness to the fullness, cry if you need to cry. Also talk to your loved one and let them know, right now I am feeling really sad. Don't talk it under the rug. Remember, suppression leads to depression. The more that we allow the feeling to go through our body, that we breathe it through and let it exit the body, the better that we're going to feel. If we're holding it in a stagnation, that is when we somatize some of these diseases, because those are emotions that we're suppressing into the body. And they may go into our liver, our kidney, our throat, our chakras, or even our, any of our organs in the body. So making sure that we are allowing ourselves to feel to the fullest, and communication is key. Now, one thing that came to mind with Kavita specifically, and thank you for bringing this up, is as we're going through these different stages that you mentioned, also the people around us are going through those stages in their own way. So this is a human evolution, not an individual evolution. So also being mindful of where people are within their journeys, and also remembering that as we're aging, it is very likely that there will be more instances where maybe another part of me is being asked of me. Example of a caregiver. Maybe my whole life I was the driver, meaning the one in the business running around, exercise, this and that. But now at this point in time, I have to take care of a loved one, because that loved one is going through those stages in life too. It could be a parent, it could be your significant other. So how do you connect with this externally, with the people around you, as well as internally within you? So what do you think about that when we're all, now we see it not just this self-contained aging, but is all of us are evolving together and going through the stages together?
Yeah, I think there's this concept, Stephen Covey. I read his book in like 99 or 2000 or something. And one of the advices that he had in there is having family meetings. Okay. And I remember looking at that thinking, you know what? Family meetings, it's like, why do we have a meeting? Like, you have your meetings at work. Why would you have a family meeting at home, right? But I realize it's one of the most powerful things. It's just like, really, you don't have to call it the word meetings, but it's like a check-in. Does that make sense? You check in with the people that you love, and some people are like, yeah, we sit down, we have dinner every night together, but that's not, when you have dinner every night together, a lot of things can happen. Like, people know that, like, if you actually say, hey, look, we're going to have our family meeting, twice a month. When we have it, everyone shows up, and we're literally just going to sit there and listen into each family member and go around and say, where are you at on your health? Where are you at in your emotions? Like, what are you struggling with? How can I help? And sometimes that's one of the most compassionate things, because you can say, I love you, and you can hug somebody, and that's one form of, showing affection and love. But sometimes just listening to where they're at, no matter what stage of life that they're in, it helps everybody, no matter what stage they're in, kind of engage in that stage and use that stage to really better themselves, right? So I would say that communication, communication is the key. So everyone can age gracefully, everyone can support each other, but have something concrete on the calendar. Like, literally create rituals for the home of communication, right? And you don't have to call it a family meeting, call it a family check-in or whatever you want to do. But I thought it was really wise advice from Covey, when I read that.
I absolutely love that, because that way you're not going just through the emotions, meaning going through the day like, oh, we need to cook together, we need to sit together, we watch TV or whatever. But it's more intentional, I feel. So Sarah Oliver said that she does that. Sarah, I would love to hear from you, but how about you tell us how you do that and how has it worked for you? If we wouldn't, if we can put Sarah on, yeah, there you go.
We sort of try to do it once a week. A lot of times it depends on if we're like traveling. But we get together and we have like sort of what we call like opening rounds, where we kind of check in and say things like, right now I'm feeling, And we usually have like 3 to 5 words that we each give about how we're feeling at that particular moment in whatever's going on. And then it could be like, this is something that, was really challenging this week. This was something that I really looked forward to this past week. This is something I want to put attention on this week. And then we can talk about, when I say like, is there something that's like really on your mind that you really want to talk about? Is there something that's like, or we'll often call, do you have a burner? You have a really burning thing that you really want to talk about this week. And then once we've gotten through all that, then we'll go in and talk about like, these are things that we have on our calendar. These are the things that we need to talk about, like what's going on this week. What are these projects that we have? And then we always close out by saying like, what are our 2 closing ones? One of the last one is always, I'm grateful for. That's how we, it's like, or the other one is I'm leaving here with. So this is what I'm leaving the meeting with, like whatever thought, feeling, emotion I'm leaving the meeting with. And then this is, I'm grateful for. And it usually lasts about an hour. Sometimes if there's something that really pipes up that's going on for us, then it may last a little bit longer, but it takes us about an hour. And it's something we've been doing for a while, and it's really been helpful because every once in a while there's something that really comes up that's like, I didn't know that was going on for you, or I didn't know that you had this doctor's appointment. You didn't tell me. Really? What's going on?
Right.
So that's
I love it. Thank you, Sarah. And also just making sure that those relationships are not just transactional, right? And it's more intentional. We're putting the intention forward just to express how we're feeling, as well as receiving how everyone around us is feeling. And it opens up so many doors too. It's so beautiful because it allows you to go deeper into your relationship with other people, to understand your own self a little bit better. It may not be a good day every day. One day you may say, you know what, I really need you to hold a space for me. And I just need to get this out. And it could be work related or personal, and just being able to vent. And all of a sudden you feel better after you talk, because these people are here in your life for a reason. They're part of your journey. So making sure that you're sharing how you're feeling, and also being mindful about how they're feeling through the aging process, because they're aging with you. Is a community. So
and we
yeah,
alternate who leads the meeting. Like one week I'll lead it, and next week he leads it, or whoever maybe feels like they really have desire to lead it. So we kind of go that way.
Yeah, perfect, beautiful. Now, I wanted to touch on the fact that, yeah, there will inevitably be times where we don't feel like ourselves, that we feel off, and whatever it is, physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, is affecting us. And it just happens, and it happens at any age. I'm not saying this only happens when we're aging. It happens at any age. The difference to me, that I'm coming to my own realization now at almost 51, is that I am more in tune. I am more in tune with those feelings, and I'm able to express to others more so how I feel, honoring myself and where I am at. And the more that I honor myself, the more others around me also respect where I am at. So one thing that I wanted to address is, whenever you're feeling whatever way you may be feeling, it could be pain on your knee, it could be that you didn't get sleep the night before, like Sue said here, or whatever that may be, how can you deeply connect with yourself to hear what your soul is telling you at this point in time? Because all your senses are open like a flower. This is one of the most beautiful stages in your life. We have the misperception that we think, oh, youth, when I was able to go, on my motorcycle, when I was able to jump out of an airplane. But reality is, you're reaching a beautiful, deeply emotional, and the wisdom that is coming from all those years of experience are getting ready to flourish. So can you tap into that? Can you connect with that to the point that, number one, acceptance. Oftentimes I see people, and I want you to try this. Take your phone, or if you have a selfie that you took from a year ago, take a selfie right now. You will realize that that selfie in 2-3 years is not the same. We cannot freeze time. Thank you, Cheryl, for taking that selfie. You cannot freeze time. So acceptance of who we are and where we are is one of the key elements of aging. If we're always trying to live in the past or who we were or how I looked, and nothing against Botox, it's not about that. It's just we really simply cannot freeze time. And what is coming with time is wisdom, is beauty, is natural beauty. Can I begin to love these marks that are coming and showing the life that I lived? Can I begin to look at my body with the stretch marks after I had a child and say, I gave birth, I brought life to this world? Can I begin to look at my gray hair and say, every gray hair, it was perhaps a sad moment, a stressful moment in my life that made me be who I am today? So this is for deep, deep, deep reflection. Can we tap into that? Do we have anyone in the audience, and let's start with you, as to how you're tapping into that wisdom within as you're aging and honoring yourself for that stage where you are?
I think surrounding myself with positive thought, um, making sure I spend time in nature, and we do too much. We're always doing. So in my sessions, we always talk about non-doing and non-thinking. Sometimes, like, don't have an agenda, just walk through the woods, and the amount of wisdom that will pour in, the amount of healing that will pour in is just like so vast. Does that make sense? And so for me, it's probably non-doing, non-talking, just silence, and probably connecting to nature, a lot of that wisdom. And then, if we surround ourselves with like wise people, people that we can like listen to positive thoughts and how to really contextualize my life, I think that like, what is the purpose? Like, why do I walk this earth? What is my dharma? And then a lot of times, no matter what age you're at, if I know what my purpose is, what my dharma is, then everything just seems just right. Does that make sense? But sometimes I need someone to talk to me about that. It's not, I might not just get that just from myself. So maybe there's the two things.
Yeah, definitely. And surrounding yourself with like-minded people, coming to conversations like this, where you're able to express and you're able also to receive. I see Nicole here said, I earn every one of my glitter strands. So where is Nicole? I want to have Nicole.
I got a few glitter strands myself.
Let's go ahead and unmute Nicole. And if you wouldn't mind, just turn your camera on, Nicole, if that's okay with you. Beautiful. And if you can share with us, how does it feel for you earning those glitter strands?
I've come to a point in my existence where I found more balance. And so I look at so many people around me are dyeing their hair and trying to be that. It's a little piece of trying to be something that you're not. And I've accepted what's there. And I actually don't have very many for my age, but what's there, what stresses have come, the lines that are on my face are mine, but it's also the same as the extra weight I have on me, where I came from. That's where I put myself. And so that's what's enabled me to be exactly where I am today. And there's an acceptance level of all of that. And I've stopped trying to be something different and rejoice in what I have right now.
That's beautiful.
Beautiful. What word can you relate to that? Is it freedom? Like you get to freely be yourself to the fullest?
Yeah, I would even say wisdom. I've been listening to the book Haggitude lately, of all of the old, like they're more European based wisdom stories of women aging in through their menopause years and into their I don't know what the English word is, but the sagesse, the wisdom part of your life. I'm just entering into Vata time, and as crazy and as movement as all of that is, I'm finding a foundation and a calmness of peace, and I've had to learn to really ground, because the Vata is pushing everything. It's pushing the Pitta out. It's pushing all of the things out. And so being out of alignment doesn't feel good. So learning all of the things to stay in alignment as I move through these periods, and finding wisdom, stories, traditions, things to do that solidify that foundation is important to me, and it's brought a calmness.
Beautiful. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. Really appreciate it, because this is a perfect segue as well to how do we find those tools then within Ayurveda to find that alignment. Because Ayurveda is our best friend, is a tool that allows us to go through these stages again in a graceful way. So if we can go through some of those tips of the
Yeah.
things that we can do to keep that balance.
Yeah, there are four major things to keep in mind. One is this concept of rasayana. Rasayana means, so this word rasa, right? That actually means juice. It means juice. So how do you bring juice into your life? Okay, like what is this guy talking about? The juice is like, you need to have the zest and the juice for life, right? And from an Ayurvedic perspective, if you have things that are very, you take things in that create that juice, create that nourishment, right? So that is like making sure you have potassium, you're well hydrated, your hydration has like electrolytes in it. So that will help with your lymph and your blood and all that. That's the beginning. That's the beginning of the rasa that you want to put into your system. And then you have like building herbs like ashwagandha or shatavari. These are fantastic. So you can find supplements. Ashwagandha, for we talked a little bit earlier about burnout and adrenals, right? So ashwagandha is a fantastic, herb for that. Our hormones. Shatavari is really great as we're aging when our hormones aren't functioning, like they did like 10 or 15 years ago. It's a really nice way to do that supplement. Chyawanprash. Chyawanprash is a type of jam that you could buy, and you could have that periodically, okay? Making sure that you're eating things like watermelons and cucumbers and lettuce and all these particular things. So the right diet will really help. But generally, the things that bring rasa or bring that juice into my life, surrounding yourself with people that are positive, okay? Everyone that is negative, don't give them as much time. And if they're family members, just compartmentalize that stuff a little bit, right? Because what happens is the more that we surround ourselves with positivity, the more that rasa we're going to have in our life. And the more that people say, Mitesh, you can't do that, you'll never get there, you're always doing this, those people, put them to the side a little bit, because it's not just drinking certain things and having the right herbs and eating the right foods, it also is people, okay? So the next thing is protecting your ojas. So ojas is kind of the integrity of all of your tissues. It's your ability to reproduce. It's your ability to make new. Okay, and ojas. If you think about things that are ojas, like they're full of your ability to create. It'll be things like eggs, like milk, like ghee. All these kind of like unctuous type things that you start putting into your life, they really help you kind of in aging. So like if you think about the opposite, that if your Vata is the later stage of life, Vata is dry and it is rough. So if you're putting the opposite, like the Ojas type of things, like ghees and oils, and you're having the nice avocados and like healthy nuts, all these things, you put them into your life, you're gonna build Ojas into your system. Golden milk is a good one. Golden milk with ghee is also very good. And also putting oil. This is gonna sound really simple, but Vata, your skin starts getting drier the older you get. Nourish those pores. The skin is a massive organ. You have your internal skin, which is your GI tract, and you get your external skin, which is your literal skin, right? So putting the right oils on your bodies, taking the right oils internally, that will also help you live longer. Also, the things that really destroy your ojas is your inability to metabolize. So multitasking during meals. Okay, what that means is like I'm watching a TV show, do not check email. If you check email while you're eating, that nutrition is just total, it is just bad nutrition. Does that make sense? So don't multitask while you're eating. Don't eat while you're standing up. Sit down, make your plate, make everything sacred around you. Light some candles, light some incense, have a good meal. All these things build ojas. The last two things is mitigate vata. Okay, so control vata in your last stage of life. Okay, and then that goes with like, I'll give you a really interesting, especially going into the fall right now, sleeping with a weighted blanket. If you have anxiety, if your mind races, all these things are going, make that room nice and cozy and sleep with a weighted blanket. So there's a lot of ways that you probably know about how to manage vata and make sure it's not getting out of hand. That will help age gracefully. And then lastly, it is doing cleanses or doing panchakarma, right? And so it doesn't have to be with us. It can be with anyone that you're doing these things with. But at Ayurprana, we do 3 home cleanses a year for Vata cleanse, Pitta cleanse, and a Kapha cleanse. And also, if you really want to go deep into resetting your body, we do Panchakarma. So literally, and the ones I gave you are literally from Shastra. They're literally from our texts that tell us how to age gracefully. So there you have it. You have Rasayana, you have Ojas, you have Panchakarma, and what was the last one? Oh, managing your Vata.
Beautiful, beautiful. And for those of you thinking about, that oleation, I saw one of the questions about the oils. The oil that you need really depends on the imbalances and where your doshas are, and also where you're located geographically. So you may be in South America, in which case the temperature is a little bit hotter, so maybe coconut oil is better for you. Or you may be in a cold, dry temperature or area. In that case, maybe almond oil will be better for your skin. But to go back to what Mitesh was saying about, the internal oleation, this is something that you can practice regularly during your cleanses. You can do your cleanses 3 times a year at the turn of every season. And that allows you to do the internal oleation, meaning you're lubricating your entire body from the inside out by taking that ghee, or if you're vegan, you will likely are taking flaxseed oil. But whatever that may be, you're lubricating everything. So when we see the dryness of the skin or the skin getting thinner, you're basically feeding your skin from the inside out. So don't only just put the oils on the skin, but also think about that lubrication internally, which additionally to lubricating your organs is also not only lubricating the organs, but allowing you to release the toxins, or what we call ama. So you're taking that ama, you're loosening it up from the organs, and then by doing your abhyanga, self-abhyanga, massaging your body with that oil, you can guide those toxins to the center of your GI tract. That way, when you do enemas or when you go to the bathroom through your urine or your bowel movement, that is how the toxins exit the body. So detoxifying regularly is, I would say, a must as you are aging, to make sure that you're keeping that healthiness and vitality that you're looking for, from clarity of mind to physically in the body.
And I did post a daily massage oil. So Banyan has a Vata oil, a Pitta oil, a Kapha oil. They have an oil for like joint pain, an oil for hair, an oil for brain, all kinds of oils, okay? It can get overwhelming and get confusing, and it can get expensive. But I put a link in there for the Banyan Daily Massage Oil, which is tridoshic. It reduces Vata, Pitta, and Kapha, and it's great for your skin and good for your neurology, okay? So if you want a general oil on your shelf and you don't want to spend too much money, I put the link in the chat. You guys can check that out.
Beautiful. And we have a question there from Alicia asking if you have a recommendation for a weighted blanket.
I don't. My sister-in-law makes them for us. Okay, so it's a weird thing, but she does it, And so I would probably, I don't have a recommendation for that. Sorry.
It's okay. Any other questions? I know we reached the top of the hour. I want to make sure that we leave some minutes here For anyone that wants to raise your hand, ask a question, we're here for you. And that was the purpose of this webinar. Any questions? Let's see. No?
All right.
All right. Well, thank you everyone for joining us. If you need anything whatsoever to go through these transitions, feel free to reach out. We're here to support you. You know that we have the Living Wisdom membership, which you can become a member for the entire year. It allows you to go through all those changes and the seasons. Also, feel free to reach out if you want to learn more about our Panchakarma retreat, which is our 7-day detoxification process. And last but not least, our cleanses, which we do 3 times a year at the turn of every season. So we're here to support you and help you through this beautiful journey of life. Do not hesitate to reach out. And thank you so much for joining us.
All right.
All right.
Bye.
Namaste.
Namaste
Bye-bye.
and the heart.